Number 23, Benjamin Harrison, Republican, 1889 to 1893, 55 years old, from Indiana. Benjamin Harrison was America's centennial president. Elected exactly 100 years after George Washington, the nation celebrated by having Harrison reenact Washington's inauguration in New York City.
He was a very good speechmaker, but he didn't have much more role than that. And most people thought it was a mighty big downturn to go from a George Washington to a Benjamin Harrison in a short 100 years.
Trying to fill the big shoes left by America's forefathers was a role Harrison was accustomed to.
One Benjamin Harrison signed the Declaration of Independence. His own grandfather had been president of the United States. They still remain the only grandfather-grandson to be president. He had a tough time coming out of the shadow of his grandfather, who was sort of legendary, William Henry Harrison.
While William Henry Harrison had enjoyed fame as a war hero, his place in presidential history is insignificant because he died just 1 month after he was inaugurated. His grandson would take the oath nearly half a century later. Almost immediately, Benjamin Harrison began to lose the support of those around him because of his indifferent demeanor.
Benjamin Harrison was known for having a glacial personality. He was very brusque, he could be very formal. He was described by people as the human icicle.
Among the people he alienated was almost every political boss within the Republican Party. They all felt that they were the ones who helped him get to the White House.
Harrison did do right by his fellow veterans, but he nearly bankrupted the nation's treasury in the process. His administration presided over America's first billion-dollar Congress.
They passed the first comprehensive pension legislation in the history of the United States for Civil War veterans. That turned into a boondoggle because when the law was passed in 1890, 14-year-old girls ran out to marry these 70-year-old men, knowing that one day they would get their pensions.
At the insistence of party leaders, Harrison signed into law the highest, most protective import tax in American history, the McKinley Tariff, named after the congressman and future president, William McKinley. As a result, foreign manufacturers ceased to export products to America, and several American corporations gained monopolies on the manufacture of many essential goods. With no foreign competition, consumer prices skyrocketed, and Harrison's popularity with the common man plummeted.
This was particularly unfortunate for the president seeking re-election at that time because, of course, what the Republicans had been saying for years is the protective tariff is aimed primarily at helping workers, that we're trying to protect American workers from the products coming in from abroad made by cheap labor.
Benjamin Harrison was considered a decent, honest fellow by his contemporaries. He tried to do right for his country, but his policies were a failure in the eyes of many. One of Harrison's harshest critics was Grover Cleveland, and he was about to make the most surprising political comeback in American history. Benjamin Harrison was the first to put electricity in the White House, but both he and his wife were too afraid to touch the switches.